to the end. Before horrified onlookers who had crossed over that frozen river to witness his execution, the hangman's rope stretched and the boy dangled, his feet barely almost touching the ground, instead of snapping his neck, which would have been a merciful death. He strangled at the end of that rope, his body twisting and turning involuntarily from the agony of it for 5 long minutes. Onlookers, as well as Union soldiers who had seen battle, became ill at the tragic spectacle. David was 2 months past his 17th birthday. There was not enough left to show for the rest of my boy's life. It all happened so quickly, within days of his arrest. They said that the general feared rumors that the Confederates would attempt a daring raid to rescue David. But it was only that, just a rumor. No one, certainly no one in our family, knew about David until it was too late. His hanging was neither quick nor painless. I see it when I close my eyes at night. When he did not come home, we set out to look for him. David's father traced his steps to that gallows in Little Rock. We knew that my boy was one more casualty of that most uncivil war. And so ends the very short and tragic life of my son, David Owen Dodd. He lies buried in a donated grave at Mount Holly Cemetery in Little Rock. And he has since been called the boy hero of Arkansas, even the boy martyr of the Confederacy. But to us, he was our dear David, our beloved son and brother. Well, our family was devastated. Of course, we kept him alive in our hearts. Father issued broadsides against General Steele, condemning him as a coward. But Father died 2 years later. General Steele was reassigned, but he, too, soon was dead. And ironically, General Fagan, who many felt had started the tragic events in motion, lies buried near David at Mount Holly. In a further irony, Dr. R.L. Dodge returned from Vermont, and he, too, is buried there. His daughter, Mary Dodge, married another man. In old age, her son revealed that even to her death, she remained an ardent little rebel. Each year during those bitterly cold days of early January, the sons of Confederate veterans honor David at Mount Holly. For this, I am truly grateful, as I'm grateful to you for listening to his story. Because you see, apart from his grave, all we have left of David is that one photo that he had taken, just as simple and straightforward as he was in life. And we have a last letter for him that arrived much later. It was sent from the military prison in Little Rock on January 8th, 1:00 a.m., 1864, if I may share it with you. My dear parents and sister, he wrote, I was arrested as a spy and tried and sentenced to be hung today at 3 o'clock. The time is fast approaching, but thank God I'm prepared to die. I expect to meet you all in heaven. Do not weep for me, for I'll be better off in heaven. I will soon be out of this world of sorrow and trouble. I would like to see you all before I die, but let God's will be done, not ours. I pray to God to give you the strength to bear your troubles while in this world. I hope God will receive you in heaven. There I will meet you. Mother, I know it will be hard for you to give up your only son, but you must remember it is God's will. Goodbye. God will give you the strength to bear your troubles. I pray that we may meet in heaven. Goodbye. God will bless you all. Your son and brother, David O. Dodd. We cherished that letter, as you can well imagine. It was not until many years later that an account of that terrible day came to pass. And I would like to share that with you because this came from a Union soldier. His name was Leander Stillwell. He was 20 years old in 1863, and he belonged to an Illinois volunteer unit in the Union Army. In the year 1916, when he was age 73 years old, he wrote The Story of a Common Soldier of Army Life in the Civil War, 1861 to 1865, by Leander Stillwell. He's left an account of that day which I think is well worth repeating. He said, "The most painful sight that I saw during the war was in Little Rock last winter. It was the execution by hanging on January 8th of 1864 of a Confederate spy by the name of David O. Dodd. He was a mere boy, seemingly not more than 19 or 20 years old. There was no question as to his guilt. When arrested, there was found on his person a memorandum book containing information written in telegraphic characters in regard to troops, batteries, and other military matters at Little Rock. He was tried by court-martialed and sentenced to the mode of death always inflicted on a spy, namely by hanging. I suppose that the military authorities desired to render his death as impressive as possible in order to deter others from engaging in a business so fraught with danger to our armies. Therefore, on the day fixed for carrying out the sentence of the court, all our troops in Little Rock turned out under arms and marched to the place of execution. It was in a large field near the town. The gallows had been erected in the center of this open space, and the troops formed around it in the form of an extensive hollow square and stood at parade rest. The spy rode through the lines to the gallows in an open wagon made to sit on his own coffin. I happened to be not far from the point where he passed through and saw him plainly. For one so young, he displayed remarkable coolness and courage when in the immediate presence of death. The manner of his execution was wretchedly bungled in some way, and the whole thing to me was indescribably repulsive. In the crisis of the affair, there was a sudden clang of military arms and accoutrements in the line not far from me, and looking in that direction, I saw a soldier in the front rank had fainted and fallen headlong to the ground. I didn't faint, but that spectacle well nigh made me sick. It's true that from time immemorial the punishment of a convicted spy has been death by hanging. The safety of whole armies, even the fate of a nation, may perhaps depend on the prompt and summary extinction of the life of a spy. As long as he's alive, he may escape, or even if closely guarded, may succeed in imparting his dangerous intelligence to others who will transmit it in his stead. Hence, no mercy can be shown. But in spite of all that, the event impressed me as somehow being unspeakably cruel and cold-blooded. On one side were thousands of battle-hardened men with weapons in their hands. On the other was a lone, unfortunate boy. My conscience has never troubled me for anything I may have done on the firing line in time of battle. There were the other fellows in plain sight shooting and doing all in their power to kill us. It was my duty to shoot at them, aim low and kill some of them if possible. And I did the best I could, and I have no remorse for that whatever. But whenever my memory recalls the choking to death of that boy, for that's what was done, I feel bad and I don't like to write or think about it. But for fear of being misunderstood, it must be repeated that the fate of a spy, when caught, is death. It was a military necessity. The other side hanged our spies with relentless severity, and were justified in so doing by law and usages of war. Even the great and good General Washington approved of the hanging of the British spy, Major Andre, and refused to commute the manner of his execution to being shot, although Andre made a personal appeal to him to grant that favor, in order that he might die the death of a soldier. While the work of a spy is honorable, his fate is death if caught. No one denies the right of the British to execute Nathan Hale, or truly of Steele to execute David O. Dodd. Yet, while the right was his, he might, in consideration of the extreme youth of the offender, certainly have commuted the sentence, or kept the boy in duress until danger was past. And that was written by a battle-hardened Union soldier. And so, all the family has left of David is that one photo, his last letter. If we keep him alive in our memory, perhaps he'll live in our hearts. I suppose we'll never know really where he got his information or why he went back across enemy lines and who was he protecting. I suppose we'll never really know. But if you recall his story, he will live on as our boy hero, David Owen Dodd. Please remember him.